We're official, my guy. We got official StreamYard now.
Okay.
But yeah, what a
Nice.
good day in the market, my guy. It was pretty interesting. There are a few news clips that I have in the background, but I was up about 20 grand today. It's no
Very
Jesse
nice.
Dow or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I was pretty excited because you have to collect those and pat yourself on the back just for being in the market in those days, right? I mean, I know it's not me that's doing the work, but even still,
Yeah.
those are rare and few and far between. It's more likely that you see a negative 20,000 for me than you do a positive 20,000. So,
You built
uh,
up your portfolio with some good candidates, man. You're fine,
yeah, but always a good one, man. And
How did
you
our
know,
how did our portfolio do today?
it was up. I'll have to pull it up in the background. It was up a
Mhm.
couple Dara. Um,
Okay.
let me see.
You hear about the Oxy news about who's been buying?
Yeah, Uncle Warren. We are up
That's right.
2%, so up about 22, $23 in our
Nice.
portfolio. So we'll have to get into that overall, but
Mm-hmm.
it just goes to show you, man. I mean, I was not expecting this. I was kind of erring like where you were yesterday with respect to that's getting a little long in the tooth. I was thinking maybe we
Mm-hmm.
pull back or stay flat. I thought that Jerome was going to come down with the hammer of God and smite us all.
I
And
was too. I think everyone was at this point. I think this is one of the reasons why we had this crazy rally because everyone was expecting Jerome Powell to be rational and be like, "Hey, you kept for the last 6 months saying you are going to be a hawk. You're going to be a hawk, and today you just took off your clothes and be like, no, hawk. I'm not a hawk. I'm
no, we're
actually a
going to cut
dove."
3 times and everyone's going to hold hands and everyone's going to be able to get mortgages like they want to. And housing prices are going to go up forever. So, I mean, geez, it was interesting. I like looked at the end of the day. I was in meetings literally all day. And then I looked
Yeah.
down at my phone. I'm like, that's wrong, right? Spy's not at 470. I'm like, there's absolutely no way. Spies at 470. It just didn't make any sense. But yeah, here we are. And actually, I told you I started buying 30-day out spy calls. I don't know if I told you this or not.
Yep.
And it's something I heard, and I was just like, I'll gamble. So 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I started doing this where I would just buy a 30-day out spy call at the money. And the thought is that you buy it, hold it for 50%, or if within 10 days of expiry, if it's not out 50%, you just roll it out for 30 days. So I've now done that twice, and both times it's blown through that 50%. So
Ooh.
I've had to buy it back twice and roll out. And I wrote it literally 2 days ago. I bought the 464 or something like that. And I was like, there's
Mhm.
no way this is going to go up 50%. I was like, we're going to probably see this one hang out for a while. And then boom, I look at my portfolio today and it's already, that went from $6 or $5 when I bought it all the way up to the $9 that it was 50% profit. So it was just like completely astonishing. So I'm gonna have to not just buy one. I'm gonna have to start buying two. So we'll see what happens with that, and then eventually I'm gonna start taking some profits and probably just move that over, and that'll just become a little leg of the portfolio to see if that continues to persist.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that. I need to keep track of it too because it's a pretty bullish strategy, right? At the money for 30 days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Usually that's when you have the most amount of expiring, man.
exactly.
Like you have the most state of decay during the last 30 days. So just, I don't know. If it works, it works. I'm never one to knock someone's strategy. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Worst case scenario, I lose a little bit of money and I'll hold off. But I've also just thought about, well, I've won twice. Let me wait, see if there's any sort of retracement and then restart. But it is what it is, time in the market. So who the hell knows what the hell's going to happen? The market does not do necessarily what you think it's going to do. But yeah, do you have any specific thoughts about what Jerome had to say today? I know you just got off fresh off FJ, but
Yeah, I mean, I think he pretty much outlined just the bullish nature of what's happening next year. The only thing that I would say about it is that I'm trying to understand his reasoning, and the only logical conclusion that comes to mind is he's trying to control, or he's trying to help the rest of inflation go down by getting more people into the market and more home inventory to be in the market. And so this way it pushes inventories higher. Because I think
Mm.
what we've seen is as long as they keep the rates high, not too many people are going to be putting their homes on the market for sale. But the minute that they start cutting, or even a perception of cutting,
Mm.
there's going to be the 10-year is going to collapse, in which case the 30-year mortgage is going to start to collapse. And so all these people who are sitting on 3-4% mortgages, if they have to sell out of a 3.5-4% mortgage and buy a home that at 5% mortgage, it doesn't seem that bad of a trade-off, especially if it's something in your life that you need to do, right? So as an example, like my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they have a house in Georgia. And so they bought a place. My sister-in-law was working about 30 minutes in the opposite direction. And
Mhm.
so it wasn't that bad for her. They drove. It's a brand new house. She's a physician. She does extremely well for herself. But then she didn't like the job. And so she found another job. But the job is in the opposite direction, an hour. So now
Mm.
it takes her almost an hour and 15 minutes to get to work every day. Now, the thing is, they have a 3% mortgage that they don't want to give up. But at the same time, they're going to have to, because
Yeah,
there's no
it's a
way she's
lot.
going to be driving that much with 2 kids at home. Right. And so right now at 8%, they're probably more likely to just tough it out. At 7, it becomes less likely that
Well,
they'll
it's
tough
already
it
at
out.
7,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At
and that's
5,
that's
though,
before this week.
right? And at 5, dude, they're fine with selling out and taking a 2 basis point hit on the interest, because then it's like, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So I think the key is a lot of homes right now are sitting on the sidelines because people have no alternative to go into like different housing or different places that they want to buy.
Mhm.
So I think with housing, if interest rates come down, you could see a lot of inventory come to the market. And also there's going to be buyers too. So it's going to be a buyer and seller dynamic at the same time. And you're going to have true price discovery again. So
Right.
right now, I don't think housing has a lot of price discovery. I think the few people that put their homes on the market, they get bid up so quickly. And now that raises the price of homes. So now everyone feels rich. It's like, oh, my home is worth $700,000 because Johnny Joe Schmo nearby sold his home for $750,000. But the only reason why they got $750 is probably $750,000 is probably because there were no other houses to buy at the time. But if price of homes comes down even slightly, that could help. And also, if the way that they do shelter is that they do this thing called owner's equivalent rent. So right now, if you are living in a home, if you have to buy a home at, let's say, $700,000 and you're paying an 8% mortgage, that's $56,000 that you have to come up with in just interest charges, right? On the other hand, if rates were going down to, like, let's say 5%, what ends up happening now is that your monthly mortgage payment is going to be much, much lower, right? So I think what it is it'll help kind of like make people feel like, hey, I'm not paying as much, for this, or my property is not worth as much. And also at the same time, you have rents too. Like a lot of multifamily is coming to market next year, so rent should be coming down also. So I think the Fed is really trying to, I don't want to say crash the real estate sector for housing, for shelter. I just think that they are being cautious, and they're saying let's do what's necessary to get the average monthly cost per person down. So like, go ahead, do the math right now.
Yeah, so let's just say you had 25% to put down, right? $400,000
Yeah.
house, it leaves you $300,000 left,
Yeah.
right? So people, obviously, if you weren't buying at the peak, right? But 7 3/4 was like, not 7 3/4, 7.375 is what I ended up with in my mortgage,
Hmm.
which I'm like kind of ecstatic right now. I'm like, holy shit. So let's just take a quick look at how quickly this drops. If let's just say it goes to 6%, it went from, what was it? It was like 2067 to
Hmm.
almost $2,100. And if it just goes to 6%, that's 350
200
bucks.
and yeah, 200 and something.
And I'm not good with math, right? But
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean it's a
Now
significant
drop it
amount of
down to
money.
5. Drop it down to 5, which is what the eventual looks like it's going
Yeah.
to be. It's going to be $1,600.
Yeah.
So this would end up causing OER prices to come down significantly. And the thing is, the price of the home is not changing that much. If you notice that, the price of that home is still $400,000 for what it is. So
right, and that's what excites me, right? Because I think we have we got a secondary mortgage on the rental property that's at 7.25% or something like that. So we were doing the math and we were kind of waiting for the 5.5% trigger to refinance that. And then I might have to just look at, what it costs I know it's going to cost some money, right? But you think about it, if it pays itself off within a year, even if it costs you $3,500 out of pocket to be able to do it within a year's time, you're buying yourself. And I'd probably just keep my mortgage payment the same, or like how much I'm paying the same. But obviously it's going to attack it way, way faster. But you're talking about a couple $100 directly that's now able to go to principal. When you think about it, when you're at the beginning of your 30-year mortgage, that's how much you're paying that's how much you're paying in principal anyway. So that, let's just say $2,000, $2,100 that we started out with at 7.3%, you're only paying $250 a month to principal.
Matt, imagine this. Put that thing down to 2.75. Because that's what a lot of people have. No, I'm not saying, but imagine this is what so many people in the US has. On a $400,000 home, some people have this interest right now. One of my friends, he bought his house for $500,000. He's got a 2.75% mortgage. Right now, he's making more money in his account. Right now, it's actually his money market account is paying his mortgage. Can you believe that?
Jeez. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I actually thought about that because, like, at one point I had, like, I don't know, 50, 60 grand or something just hanging out in an Amex personal savings waiting to buy this house. And I was like, man, this interest that's coming in every month isn't that bad. It was kind of exciting. But obviously now it's but yeah, here we have Hot Dean over here, 2.875. Like he's living the dream, right? I mean, I would be able to buy a substantially bigger home if I was where I was at, right? With my down payment, and if mortgage rates were at 2.75, and I actually still was ready to buy a home, because you think about it, this is what 40% less than what we were showing, as opposed to the 7.5%.
Read the super chat. Thank you, P Sesh, for the $5 super chat.
Yeah, super chat courtesy of Anthony Noto, Hockey Tan, and Vlad Tenev. Hawktan is what, the Broadcom?
CEO of Broadcom, yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's like an ex-girlfriend who just keeps getting hotter and hotter, bro.
Don't do it. That was a couple, dude. Just you didn't
look at this. I can't even do it anymore. Just look at this company, dude. It's just, I'm so pissed at myself every time I look at this. Look at this.
I know there was another piece of news the other day. I didn't realize there was that big of a piece of news. I forget what it was. What was it? It was
100%, dude. 100% Broadcom is up. Like, you can't make this up, man. I fucking hate Broadcom. I've been wanting to buy this since it was like 400 something, man. I just could never pull the trigger because I'm too orthodox in my ways of thinking. That's my problem with companies sometimes. But believe it or not, the market cap right now is what? Almost 500 billion.
It's getting up there, man. It really is. Yeah. Interesting. So I have a question for you, because obviously we had a good conversation yesterday. I was on board with you. I thought a 5 to 10% pullback was warranted. I didn't think you were crazy for saying that at all. Do you think with the way that crazy speak that Jerome is talking about, does this push something out until March before you see a big pullback, or is this something where you still see it? It's just going to be a little bit more muted, maybe. ETF, thank you for the super chat, my guy. Much appreciated. Dollar General gift card. Thanks for the insights.
I think we could see some like pullback in January, but I think it's going to be very superficial. I think this rallies into 24. I don't see, unless we have some kind of black swan event come to fruition in 24, I don't see much weakness. I think, there's so many great companies in the mid cap and the small cap space that are worth buying right now, that have not gotten a lot of love because everyone's been pouring their money into mega cap. I think that right now is a good time to be a good stock picker. Find those companies, get in now, and ride 2024 and 2025 higher. And it's
Do
a
you,
lot of it. It's just mean reversion. So
do you think that because you're 100% right? I mean, everyone talks about it. There's 493 other stocks in the S&P 500 that have been absolutely obliterated. Not really. That's too harsh of words. That have lagged behind the Magnificent Seven, I should say. And I forget whom it was that was on CNBC, but they said this is a stock buyer's market. You have an opportunity now where you're at the end of the tunnel. JP just literally said, "Hey, we're cutting rates 3 times next year," and he's in trouble again. See?
no. My wife got me. No, my wife got me. What is that?
See, this is how you spell PIMP. It's Chris Patel.
I didn't say it like that. I don't mean ex-girlfriend. All right. I meant more like girl that I was looking at.
She's complaining, yet she's still bringing him dinner.
She is. She got me.
PIMP is spelled PATEL. Okay.
Look at this. She got me. I already ate, but she got me.
What is that? Chicken biryani? What is that?
No. This is drunken noodles, right? Bad Kimao, drunken noodles.
Dude,
I had dinner already. I want to eat this, but I had dinner already.
Eat it.
All right, thank you, dear.
I'm not going to judge you if you eat it.
No. I already ate dinner though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, did she just get home and she wanted to make sure you ate?
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
no, thanks,
she's the greatest. Love you.
I said sorry for interrupting.
No, it's okay. She's like, sorry for interrupting.
No, she's the best. She knows what she's doing. She's the best. But it makes me think, like, we looked at so many good companies, Chris. So many people reach out to me. They're like, man, Paycom's a good one. Atcor's a good one. All these companies are literally sitting there, and a lot of them have run, but none of them are up 80 to 100%, like some of the ones that we're looking at, like Meta, Amazon, all these companies.
That's because they're early, bro. We are early in them. Paycom especially. Look, Paycom is up. Like, since we started talking about it, Paycom has been, let me see, hold on. Payc stock. Paycom is up literally in the last month, 12%, almost 13%. It's still got a really long way up to go, man. Atcor is the same thing. They're buying back shares. They're issuing a dividend next quarter. They're at 142. When we started talking about them, it was a little bit on the high side for me. It was like a 160s, but it's going to be up there. It's going to recover, man.
But we're not saying anything that we're not changing our tune here. I mean, something as simple as what we've been talking about, Next Era Energy, companies that are kind of hit and impacted by debt. We've been talking about this. Like, it's not like we're changing our tune. John Rogers, thank you for the super chat, my guy. What is he saying? Chris, would love to hear your strategy of Verizon. Oh, are you planning on holding it indefinitely?
I'll be straight with you guys. I have stock, which pays me the dividends, which I love. But I also have spreads on Verizon because the options are actually very cheap.
The spreads.
Yeah. So that's how I'm playing Verizon. So if you're in the Patreon, it's in there. So look at the spreads on Verizon for $40 and $50. So basically buying the $40 call and selling the $50 call. It's only $2.71 on that side, and you can sell the call the $50. There you go. Yep. And right now it's trading at $2. It was actually at 70 cents not too long ago.
There you go.
So
the problem I have,
is a 5x return. 5x return on it. So,
that was you and I were talking about some of these boys with the 5x. But the thing that I have, so I have the SoFi, like 10 and 15s, and it seems like just the $15 still moves in tandem with the $10. It's like you can never get any.
It's supposed to. It's supposed to. No. This is good because what happens is when the stock goes down, the 15 takes the hit the first, and that which actually depreciates the fastest. So what happens is as you get closer to the option that you sold, right? What's going to happen is it gives you that additional safety net that's built in there, right?
That's true.
That's the thing. So I would say it may seem like a weird thing with spreads, but spreads can ride up very quickly, especially if you buy them under.
But I guess you really need the bottom. You need the bottom leg of the trade to really start hitting profit before I think you start to see the profit come through. Because if you buy something
Yeah.
so far out of the money, they're going to trade in tandem because the delta between the two is probably going to be so close. And all the
Yeah.
delta is if the share price rises $1, that's how much that option price rises, right? So
Yep.
if you're trading at the, let's just say a 15 and a 10 delta, well, it goes up $1. Well, it's going to trade up 15 and 10 cents respectively. So it's pretty much going to give you the same thing. You're not going to be getting completely loaded on that. P said, wow, what is it with the super chats tonight? Chris, did you pay these people off? What the hell is going on?
No,
P says, again,
everyone's
thoughts
making
on
money
your
today.
SoFi $12 calls on Jan 26. It went up 25%, but I think SoFi could go on a run here.
Guys, enjoy the run. All I can say is you could see SoFi going much higher. I don't know. Like, this is not a company that's going to be trading on valuation, because the valuation is still doesn't make sense. But like I said, financials all had a great day in the sun today. So,
Yeah. I mean, this is a more advanced strategy. I don't necessarily recommend this for everybody because obviously this is something that it requires a little bit more thinking. This gentleman's talking about the $12 call. It's $2.68, right? So the break even is technically $14.52. He could easily look at something, maybe if he wants to take a little bit of opportunity to make $1 or something here. I mean, he could. That's not really enough juice for the squeeze, though. Like, that's the thing.
yeah, it's not worth it.
I was going to look like maybe he could do a poor man's covered call and basically take that long call as if he owns the share.
I've seen too many. I've seen too many people get burned on the wheel strategy for SoFi. The reason why, like, there's this one guy that I know that has a lot of SoFi shares, and he sold like a $6 covered call at one point because it was just really bearish at the time, because he's like, oh, I want to generate some cash flow. Problem is SoFi ran on him, and so now he's like, holy shit, like all my shares of SoFi are gonna get called away. So it's one of those things.
It's why I don't have Palantir cover calls on her now. Like it does. Sometimes it's the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Like you have to look at it, and I think sometimes that's part of the problem with selling options, selling puts, selling calls, because you're the one that literally determines the absolute maximum money that you can make. So if you say, oh, I can make 10 cents off of this, which is $10, you can walk away. You're like, oh shit, I could walk away with $10 today.
Yeah,
and so that immediately hits your account.
The key is knowing how to roll the strategy over. And the thing is, like, for me, I'm not good at that. Like, guys like TJ, they've perfected the art of rolling, but me, it hasn't worked well for me. So I just, like I said, everyone has to do a strategy that's comfortable for them.
I mean,
for me,
I have SPY 472s that are expiring on Friday. And those SPY 472s, I think we're like within 50 cents of it. And I'll just probably roll for next week. And another thing is, eventually you're going to get to a point where the market cools off. Like, we've been on such a run, like, you have to think. And I was in the same spot in July with Amazon and Google. They'd come off of the October lows last year of like the $80, $90 range, and they ran to 120 to 130. I didn't lose a damn share because I just kept rolling. And I write so far out of the money generally, because these are my golden geese. I don't want to get rid of them, that it's never really a problem for me to roll. It gets really difficult when you're saying, I want to roll at, or like sell at the money. Well, it's like, oh, well, to me, that you might be in there for a while, but for me, I'm running at like the 10 or 5 delta. So I'm like literally 2 standard deviations away from normal moves. So it's generally speaking never really a problem for me. But yeah, I was gonna say try for P-Sesh, I was gonna say try the poor man's cover call, but it just doesn't look like it's worth it. I mean, yeah, it's still $12. You still got literally 2 years like that. I think that's a good opportunity, and I would just hang on to it, unless that's really your only profit and you think there's somewhere else in the market. But I think that's a pretty decent contract to be holding on to, personally.
Yeah. No, for me, I'm like I said, I've never been good at wheeling, so I just stick to, okay, I find these companies, I like them, I buy them. That's it. So right now, I'm just in. Hold on one second. I'm just like looking for the small and mid cap companies that are going to outperform this market. So, the two that I would say, look at Extreme Networks too. I think we should add. Did we add that to the model portfolio?
Yeah. We did. I don't know if that's up today or not.
It is. It is. It was up to $18 today.
$18.
Then HashiCorp was up 21 to 21.74. We did well on these quick pickups.
Yeah. Let me take a little. Hopefully, I'm not sharing my screen because I got account numbers and God knows what else. But yeah, let me grab a screenshot. Get out these.
I have a lot of Extreme Network calls. Actually, I've got 20 calls on them, but I bought them when they absolutely collapsed. So those are up nicely. So.
You told me to buy them. What was it, last week or something like that? I think I was returning.
I bought them. I'll tell you when I bought them. I bought them. But the thing is, there's not a lot of volume at all. So just be cognizant of that. When did I buy them? I bought them 11/24, so about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. PSash, thank you again, my guy. $2. What does he got to say? Fun future idea. You guys rate viewers' portfolios. I actually was going to talk to Chris about something like this.
I don't think it's such a good idea. I'll tell you why. And I appreciate the thought, PSesh. I really do. The only thing is everyone has their own styles. They all have their own risk tolerances and the way that they do things. And I don't want to make people feel bad by saying, oh, the company that you have invested in is junk. And then later on, it's something that just hurts them and it just makes them think twice. Like, I am not here to destroy anyone's thesis. If anything, I'm here to make you second guess your thesis, but not destroy it. And so, I
appreciate you saying that, Chris, because that's one thing that I really think is missing on YouTube. Like, I think that there's so many people out there that are like, dividends are the way, growth stocks are the way, and they fail to recognize what truly this opportunity that we have in front of ourselves, anybody that's watching this, 109, 110 people that are watching this have, which is it's personal finance, and you're the one that has to find the way. What I say might work for you, like me always being very calm. I'm always going to stay invested in the market. And Chris has that part of his portfolio too. So don't get me wrong. So I'm not throwing Chris under the bus by saying that. But Chris also is a little bit more like I'm going to jive in and out of positions when he sees an opportunity and chase themes as they show up. And if you get that right, damn, you're going to make money quick. Like if you could chase themes and time it appropriately, that's a good way to make some pretty damn quick riches. And obviously you have to keep on to your riches sometimes, but it just goes to show you, like, sometimes just holding something, like, for example, the best performing thing that we have in our portfolio right now, which obviously could turn 180 degrees and go directly to like 50% down, is TQQQ, which has just been holding the triple leverage NASDAQ 100. And we've obviously been on a jog, right? So we've been on a jog and we're up 30 something percent on TQQQ, but it can also go the opposite direction, as I've seen in my portfolio when it dropped from $60 a share down to $20 a share in the matter of like 6 months in 2022. And now it's obviously back up to close to $50. But, you go through these opportunities, and when you time them appropriately, and sometimes they do well. And sometimes, like the other day, Oxy wasn't looking like the hottest pick. And then obviously, things turned around and now we're back in the positive again with it. Yeah. So
I'm waiting to see how the market reacts to Oxy tomorrow after the Buffett buy. We'll see.
It's definitely not a bad, that's the thing, is like, we might have bought a little early, but I'm more of a person. I don't know about you, Chris. I generally will buy things a couple months early, but I don't mind, because then I can say, okay, peace of mind. I own it. I can handle a 5-10% loss. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I see the vision, right? So like Rocket Lab, I tell people, I'm like, don't buy this damn thing. It's probably going to be cash flow negative for the next year or so. And, there's no catalyst in the near term that's really going to turn it up and to the right. But by second half of 2024, I think it's a good opportunity. Like, you have a lot of catalysts coming up at the end of 24, early 25. But for me, I'd rather just be invested, because I'm not trying to miss a boat.
So let's do this. One thing that I did want to put money into with the money that we have.
Yeah, let's buy 117.
Let's buy an index, actually, because I think this index will do exceptionally well. Let me just hold on. It's IWR. I was actually speaking about it in Finance Junkies.
I caught you on that, yeah.
Yeah, IWR, which is the Russell mid cap ETF. So when like we could look into the companies in there, but they've statistically done pretty well during most of these markets, and I think they still have a lot of room for the upside because I think there's going to be a lot of rotation into the mid cap space. So yeah.
So why? So there's a few that I like that I've looked at in the past, right? I can jump off. Let me stop.
There's also a leveraged one, a 3x leverage if you want to take the risk.
Hell yeah! No, just kidding. Now we're talking, Chris. But I'm curious why IWR instead of, let's just say, IJR, which is the small cap 600. Or IWM, which is the Russell 2000, and I'm kind of curious.
There's a lot more junk in the 2000 than there is in the.
I would agree.
There's
some zombos in the Russell 2000. I see what you're saying. So you're saying there's some mid caps that have been lagging behind due to the environment that we're in. They're likely mid caps for a reason. They're probably profitable, and there's a lot less junk.
So for people to understand, mid caps are companies that are valued between $2 and $10 billion. So a lot of them are like companies that you would recognize, but not necessarily just, like know them right away. So if you look at how they've performed over the last, 10 years, what is that, since 2011?
This is 2001.
2001. Okay. So it's actually gone up about 400% since then. Yeah.
That's not bad. And I think that a lot of people, you think about it, that's 20 something years.
Try to do a 5-year mark. Do 5 years. 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
54.
So you can see it's 54%. And you can see here during this giant market weakness of drawdowns, they didn't have that much. I think they're spring loaded for a move much higher.
The mid caps. Yeah. I don't disagree. I'm just curious. Like I've always thought that I always thought the Russell was the Russell 2000, meaning was
look at the components of the Russell mid cap versus the Russell 2000.
Phillips 66 is a good one. That one prints money. Parker is a good one, actually.
See? TransDigm is good. CrowdStrike has been on a roll.
Yeah,
KKR. So these are companies that, like I said, these are cash flow heavy cash flowing companies that you don't have to worry about bankruptcies and everything else. They're not speculative companies.
The PE is not horrible.
Yeah.
Is this a growth or is this specifically just the mid cap?
No, it's blended. It's blended mid cap. It's not growth. We could do growth if you want to go growth.
Let me just see.
You could do the Russell 1000 growth. That could work too.
I'm curious. I'm just curious. I'm not trying to push for either. But right. I'm curious what the PE is for some of these. Oh, that's high. 33 times.
See, if you go up, but see, this is the thing. The Russell 1000 growth has all the FANG names in there. So the thing is, you won't see I think right now FANG is kind of fairly valued right now, whereas the other one, the mid caps, are not fairly valued. They're still undervalued. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes me think. So is it core?
You could try that. See?
IWP. Let's see what the IWP shows, because that's the Russell mid cap growth specific. Yeah. So that's Cold Strike, Apollo, Cintas, Ross. It's like
maybe
Ross,
this is actually
stores.
I don't know. Maybe this one's actually better.
Let's see.
Actually better.
It's
got 27% in tech, right? It's in growth mode.
It hasn't performed that way. These are all incepted at the same time, by the way. But I guess they got whacked in 2008.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
That's why it's up 10x since 2008.
It is up 10x. Yeah, well, 8x.
Yeah.
Huh. Mid cap. Let's see. Is there a value?
The other thing is the KRE. If you want to take a look.
The regional
which
bank.
is the regional bank ETF. Yeah. Dude, I don't even want to look at DPST. Look at DPST today.
It's probably up. What's the guess?
Big.
Do you know?
Oh, I know. It's up like
25% is what I'm guessing.
No, 12%, something like that today.
21.
21. Oh shit, and it's still riding higher. Yeah.
You told me to buy it at 54.
I know. And we sold it too early. I was not expecting Powell to come out and just be this damn bullish, you know. Look at that.
I mean, I say that in 1 month though. Jesus, because it kind of floundered even after you told, like, it came up. It was a good opportunity, and then it floundered.
We sold it for a profit, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, TLT even was a bad one too, because we sold that and it's up to around $97.
Yeah, but we sold it at 97. We didn't sell it.
Yeah, we sold it at 96 or something. Yeah,
yeah.
We didn't do too horrible on it, but interesting. Well, it makes you think. Sometimes it's about holding, sometimes it's instead of all this movement around sometimes, but
it happens, dude.
It happens. Yeah. I mean, you can't
just remember we took the money and we put it in another place that did well too. So don't feel bad.
No, I don't feel bad at all. It's part of the fun and games, right?
Yeah.
The thing I'm surprised about though is like certain stocks just didn't do anything today, like Palantir. Like, I'm not upset because I get it; it's overvalued still, but like Rocket Lab was up 7%, and that one's like touching 5 bones. And
bro, SLG is the one that really.
I'm up over 100% now, man. I'm up over 100%.
Yeah.
So it blew through my my January call. So I think I had a $45 call for that. So I got to roll that up and out to February.
Nice.
And I'll probably walk away with still a pretty good premium on that one, but I'm up over 100%. Man.
Elf Beauty was up 8% today. I'm telling you, I have a whole bunch of these things that just skyrocket. Atcore was up almost 3.5% today, which was good to see.
Aaron Hung, he sold trimmed SLG a little bit.
Yeah.
So interesting. Well, what do you think? I mean, would you trim a little bit more with this opportunity? Do you think you're still going to see a little bit of a 5% pullback at some point? And
I think we still see a 5% pullback in January.
Yeah.
I think the market has this way of overdoing it, but I think at this point, pullbacks are meant for buying in, not really selling things off. So I'm not going to try to time 2024 anymore. I'm just going to let things do what they're supposed to do. Now that I know that the Fed is on this rate cutting cycle, right? You know what they say, don't fight the Fed.
Don't. That's what I did in 2022, and I look like a goddamn idiot.
Don't fight the Fed.
Actually, what is it? NEP? Was that Next Era Energy Partners? I'm curious how that did today. Okay, that was up 9%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean anything that has high debt has done well today, just because. So Rocket Lab did well. I'm trying to think what other stocks in my portfolio. Bros kind of stayed a little bit flatter than I was expecting, but overall, like, I was just so surprised to see 47, the 47 tag in my in my SPY.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think what other thought. I mean, it's like hard to be like, oh yeah, we need to buy X, Y, we get in Z, because
like I said, we need to start exploring small and mid caps. And I think that's something that we can do. There's also one other thing that we should consider buying. It's in our portfolio already, but I was thinking about doubling up on our position, which is that preferred stock, BPY. If you see what I'm,
yeah.
You want to go to it real quick?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. You mean like the portfolio or the actual?
Yeah, put up the portfolio.
Yeah.
The one that I added to today, because no one this is where being a little bit more knowledgeable about these things pays off, because you see BPYPM, it didn't ride up that much today. It was only up a percentage point. The thing is though, this underlines a REIT. So the REIT is not publicly traded. So that didn't jump. but the REIT sector jumped. So the thing is, this thing is due for a jump because what happened is all the risk for the REIT went down, for all these REITs went down. So this is an easy one. This is an easy winner that no one has recognized yet. So I would say if you have the opportunity, buy 5 more tomorrow,
5 more.
And like I said, it's a nice 12% dividend. Can't go wrong with that.
So we'll buy one share of the mid cap, or do we buy half a share?
Which one did you want to buy? Oh, of the thing? Yeah, buy half a share of that. Buy half a share of that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll leave us with like $50 left after we buy half a share of that. And then
we also may want to buy another half of American Tower. The reason why is because I'm not sure you get the dividend.
We got to make more money, man. We're out of money.
We will. But
we are out of dollar dinero.
But AMT, because you only have half a share, so when they do pay out their dividend, partial share, you don't get it. So at least I don't think you get dividend on a partial share. So
what are you talking about?
You do? You get a partial dividend?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
I don't know. Maybe if it's less than a share. But every time I have partial shares in my portfolio, I always get the full partial
You get the
share.
dividend?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm talking like 495 and a half shares. And I get that half. I'm not.
You sure about that? You might want to double check. That's what I'm saying. That, so maybe we just want to add. Maybe next month we'll add 100 and complete it so that we get one full share.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're 100% right. I could have sworn. Did we have a whole share of TLT?
Yeah.
Or did we have half a share of TLT?
Let me see. What did we have? I don't even remember. I think we had one whole share at least. Okay, so Nate confirmed. It's like, yes, you do get a partial. Okay.
Yeah, I thought so because I mean I've always been able to the penny been able to track like my dividends that are coming in, and I used to do that a lot.
I've never been a partial share buyer on stocks. I've always gone whole. I always thought that if you had a partial share, like if you don't have a full share, you didn't get the thing. So one of the things that sucks is Robinhood does not have BPY because it's a preferred share. So you need something like Fidelity to buy it. And so that's one of the reasons why I probably didn't ride up today either, because retail doesn't know anything about it. But it's a 12% yield, so 12% yield on a property. Most of the property there is actually, you know what? There's a video that I want us to watch.
I got plenty of CNBC if we need to watch that, but
I want to show you the one. Hold on for 1 second.
Oh, that's a good one. You get the dividend, but they keep the voting rights. Interesting. For that one share.
Hold on 1 second, all right?
What do we think of Pfizer? I don't know, man. That one's been. I've had people even during the pandemic. They're like, "I'm buying Pfizer." I'm like, I mean, they already came out with the vaccine, right? Like they're already at $50. I don't know. I honestly can't talk poorly because I don't know. I just
so tomorrow. It's today, Thursday? No,
today's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm gonna cover how commercial real estate and regional banks were kind of bailed out by the federal government, by the Fed, basically. Well, not March. This whatever pivot that you saw from Powell has basically bailed them out. And that's why you saw regional banks and REITs today. They were up like massively.
Who's actually hurting? That SLG is hurting, but they're not hurting that bad. Like, so who's actually hurting that actually mooned today?
Oh, there's ton. Look at some. Pull up the thing, and I'll show you who's actually hurting. Okay, these are the companies that have been hurt tremendously by higher interest rates, but they're also likely to benefit the most. Okay, so number one, Realty Income, you have it already. Like Realty Income
4%.
has nosedived from the 70s, right? So I'll give you some REITs that have absolutely taken a crushing. Most of these are in the commercial space. So look at CCI. Okay, so this one is Crown Castle. This is tower REITs. Okay, these guys own cell phone towers. Look at what happened with the rate regime. Literally, they went from $150, $160 to what it is now, to almost like $80. And if you go,
we bought in, I think, at like 95 or 100. What did we buy in?
Yep.
Let me check. We bought in at 103. So after it was already on a run. It was like a week or two after you mentioned it the first time.
Yeah. Go to the 1 year chart for that. And the reason why is because they have a lot of leverage on their balance sheet, right? Which makes sense. If you have leverage on the balance sheet, this is what happens. The other one, of course, is American Tower, AMT, right? But look at them. They're starting to recover too. If you go 5 years out, you can see that. Look at what their performance was for the last 10 years for American Tower.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, look at that. So, you're getting these companies at a pretty good price. Here's some other REITs that, especially in the commercial side, look at PGRE, which is Paramount Group. These guys own San Francisco and New York City buildings. Okay, now go to 5 years out or max, whatever. Look at that, 61%, almost 70%. Crazy, right?
What about
then look at KRC, Kilroy. These guys own office buildings also.
So they've been on a run for.
There you go. Look at that, 43% down. Then there's two others that are actually really good. BXP, which is Boston Property Group. This one I actually have a little bit on the side. This is not multifamily. This is Class A.
Is it?
Buildings. Yeah.
Why did I think this was multifamily?
Yeah. Right up. Go to like 5 year. That CMCT is a good one too, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's so small cap. I don't want people chasing that one. ARE. Look at ARE Alexandria. Right. That one owns like biomedical buildings, that used for life sciences in New York City, San Francisco, San Diego. Look at that. Look at where they are in a year from a year. And these all pay dividends, by the way, because they're REITs. They're going to be paying out yield.
What's Pelagos? How's that been doing? Is this fully recovered? Oh my god!
Yeah, look at Digital Realty. That they own data centers.
DLR, right?
No, I think it's yeah, there it is. Is it DLR? Digital Realty? Okay, yeah. The one that I really like that I didn't buy is Iron Mountain.
RM.
There's yep. Look at them. Yeah. Go to the year out. Look at that.
5 year. Yeah, these guys, they literally just own warehouses and people put stuff in it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
that reminds me.
How's data centers too?
How's Stag doing? Is it back to the 40s? Almost. I have a little bit of Stag. I might get rid of this one at some point. As much as I love it, I've owned it since 2014.
Yeah.
As much as I love it.
Maybe we should look at Iron Mountain. I need to go back and do my due diligence on them. But dude, this is a great company.
Iron Mountain, like a couple years ago, was dirt cheap.
I've been working with Iron Mountain for the last like freaking 10 years. I don't know why I didn't buy
to shrink your footprint. Is that what you've been doing?
No, because hospitals. What we did is we used to store all of our old X-rays, because what happens is every hospital you need to retain
for some 7 years.
Well, it depends on your medical record, but you have to. Well, actually, no. See, that's you're right about 7 years, but if it's pediatric X-rays and pediatric stuff, you have to store it until the kid turns 18. So we had shit from 18 years ago before everyone went digital. So up until 2016, we still had a file room where we had old stuff. Same thing with mammography. We had mammograms, and I remember Iron Mountain was the one that would come in and take all the boxes. So like I said, I've known about Iron Mountain forever. I just didn't think that they were that sexy because I was a novice investor. But essentially, all you're doing is just storing shit.
What happened to Cyrus One? Who bought Cyrus One?
I don't know.
Because I used to own Cone, which was Cyrus One. Maybe they.
I keep forgetting Chris is a middle-aged man. I am.
Chris is a.
That's a great way to call me old. I appreciate it.
Who bought Cyrus One? TRG? Do you know anything about TRG?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Kohlberg, Kravis Roberts, and Global.
That's
Infrastructure.
KKR. That's KKR. KKR bought them.
So KKR bought them, huh?
Yeah.
Because those I made pretty good money on those guys back in the day, and then I sold them because I was like, well, the data storage real estate investment trust play is kind of played out, and I'll shrink it, and I don't know what I did with it, but
I'd say make sure you guys. I gotta go a little bit because it's about time, but make sure you guys tune in for tomorrow because there is a play in commercial real estate that not too many people know about because there's a bifurcation in commercial real estate. And now that the Fed has basically greenlit all of these commercial real estate and these banks to be able to refinance and to extend out leases and all this other stuff, you're going to see them have a great 2024 and you'll be getting an income stock. So just like SLG, because we recognized SLG really early where we were able to double our money and collect dividends the entire way. There are opportunities like that in the market that we can still grab while while they're still out there. So
that's true. Yeah. When June mentioned we do have to talk about uranium at some point.
Yes.
Feel free to head on, man. I'll stay a little bit. I'll answer some questions for people. I'm going to watch some of these CNBC videos. I hadn't finished up yet, but Chris, should we tell them the news of what we decided to do and have people keep their eyes out for? What you messaged me yesterday, or what was it?
Yeah. Go for it.
So Chris and I are gonna, just like the FJ guys did, we're gonna create a separate channel. So in the coming weeks or so, or maybe even the coming days, I'll be sure to start posting some of the replays and stuff over there, as well as just asking you guys to, when you see it, please be sure to follow it and start getting the attention over there. The hope is obviously to grow that to 1,000 so we can start doing live streams and stuff as fast as possible. Actually, I think you can start live streaming before 1,000, can't you? I forget what the rules are, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, we're going to be able to move that over there so that way Chris and I have access and everything like that. And we have the opportunity to play a little bit more, gives us a little bit more flexibility, and at the same time gives us an opportunity to both go live. We'll both have access to a StreamYard account, all that stuff. So
make sure you grab the Cashflow Chronicles YouTube channel.
Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have fucking
do that right now. Do that right now, because otherwise someone's gonna grab it and then blackmail us. Be like, no, you got to give me $100.
You got to give me $5. Yeah, I'll be sure to knock that out of the park. But yeah, it'll be exciting. We'll be able to expand this beyond I think what we can on the Matt Money channel. Obviously, Chris has a good brand himself. He brings a lot of folks over from Twitter and his Patreon, and I have my Twitter and my old YouTube audience that have kind of been reinvigorated by doing these live streams, and it'll be really awesome to see where this can grow and develop into. And I also have some other ideas that I have to run by Chris, so I won't spout those off yet. But something similar to what we talked about earlier, which is like the how do I say it? The portfolio reviews, I think, is too intimate, but I think we could have people on and they can have questions.
Well, they could send us one stock. How about that? Like, hey, what do you guys think about this one stock? And then we could do a live look. But in terms of looking through a person's portfolio, I feel bad, man. I don't want to trash your portfolio.
Yeah, nah.
So you won't get and the thing is, if I don't want to trash your portfolio, you'll get a very, very biased opinion, which serves you no purpose anyway. You want someone if it's private where it's just two people and it's just two guys talking, I wouldn't mind sharing my actual opinion, but but in terms of being public about it, probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. We have to come up with something, because a lot of these folks, and I'm not going to say exactly what my thoughts are, but a lot of these channels that actually do a lot of fun stuff, they end up having a normal channel, like what Chris and I are doing right now, which is 4 or 5 times a week. They go live, and then there's once or twice a week, they'll do an after hours where it gets a little bit more wild and a little bit more down to earth, right? So a little bit less with respect to being, I guess, super professional and talking about the markets, and more a little bit about diving deep into interacting with the community a little bit more. So I'm curious to see how we can blend that. A lot of those, though, have mostly been dating shows, which obviously we are not one. So it's trying to figure out how the best to incorporate finance into that while also having a good time and also keeping everyone entertained. So I got to figure
Someone's
out.
like, my portfolio is 100% Tell Z. Can you rate it?
Dude, the guy might, by 2028, he could print.
I
man.
really hope that's a joke, dude. I really hope that's a joke and that's not for real, man. Because I'll feel bad. I'll really feel bad if you lose everything.
Well, that's the thing. I've been doing that. I've been on and off YouTube now for like since 2017 or something like that. And it's mostly for fun.
There's your Portillo friend right there. 100% Portillo.
100% Portillo's, man. But I mean, you think about it, like I have people like I'll buy like 1% of my portfolio in Wish, or like I'll have 5% of my portfolio in Palantir, and then Palantir goes down to $6, and everyone's just like, I'm living under a bridge, and I'm like, my guy, like I only bought 6%. It's called due diligence, like portfolio allocation, like. It's pretty funny. Like that people come out of the woodwork and you're like, you never left a comment, you never said anything on a live stream, but now magically you're bankrupt. Like it's pretty funny. But
yeah. So if you get a chance tomorrow, buy BPYPM for me, baby. Let's do this. Let's get this money, bro. I feel so bullish now because of what Powell just came out and just basically tickled me. It's like, all right, Chris, I got you. Like, okay.
Dude. Could be. All right. Well, I'm going to watch some of these videos and good luck and enjoy your drunken noodles, man.
All right. Thanks, man. Talk to you later.
I'll talk to you in a bit. All right, everybody. Let's just take a quick look at some of these videos that kind of came up when I was looking. So there's one about Jay Powell talking about the balance sheet. And I want to talk a little bit about that one. So let's hop on there first. And let me know if the volume is okay.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thanks for taking our questions. Megan Casella with Barron's. I want to ask about the balance sheet, given the Fed's focus now on proceeding carefully and considering rate cuts. And can you talk us through what the latest thinking is, and has there been any consideration of altering the pace of quantitative tightening at all?
We're not talking about altering the pace of QT right now, just to get that out of the way. So balance sheet seems to be working pretty much as expected. What we've been seeing is, that we're allowing runoff each month. That's adding up. I think we're close to 1.2 trillion now. That's showing up. The reverse repo facility has been coming down quickly. And
so what he's talking about, let me just share this then, because people might be getting confused. He said 1.2 trillion, and you're probably saying like, weren't we have up to like, what is it, closer to 8 trillion or something like that. So here's what Hot Boy JP is talking about. So here's the balance sheet over time. You can see that this is in millions over here, but it really stands for billions, because this chart is in 1,000 units. So 3 million stands for 3 trillion, or maybe it's in billions of units. I don't know. You guys know I'm not good with math. But anyway, in late 2018, 2019 time period, we were hanging out about 4 trillion. That's after QE 1, 2, and 3. And then things started to get a little spicy towards the middle of 2019. The repo market was getting out of control. And so the Fed opened it up a little bit. And then obviously we had the pandemic, and then they started doing the stimulus, right? So we got all the way up to close to 9 trillion in terms of what was on the Fed balance sheet. And we were on pretty good pace, right? So this is the beginning of 2023. Then we started having all the liquidity issues with small banks. And so they wanted to make sure that these guys didn't go out of service. So they basically lent out 350 billion, 400 billion to the small banks. And since then, they've been on this pace to lower the balance sheet. So we went from about 9 trillion to about 7.7 trillion. So that's that 1.2 trillion that Jerome is kind of talking about there. So let's just listen to what Uncle Jay has to say for the rest of that. So let's just see, back to Hot Jerome here. Talk to us, Daddy.
And reserves have been either moving up or as a result or holding steady. At a certain point, there won't be any more to come out of, or there'll be a level where the reverse repo facility levels out. And at that point, reserves will start to come down. We still have, that we
Anyway, so that was that. I mean, I think it's interesting just how they've been able to do it. I think a lot of people thought there was going to be a lot more turmoil with respect to the runoff of the balance sheet and everything like that. And I think it's gone actually way better than expected. And I think, yeah, this is the after hours. Somebody said Maddie after hours. I love that. The after hours light show. I actually was wondering if somebody's going to bring up the fact that I didn't have the light show on today, and I feel like a dummy now that people are bringing it up. But when do you think rate cuts are going to start? You know, we were talking about this yesterday, and honestly, I thought March was too early, and I still think it is. I mean, just because you have 3 rate cuts doesn't mean it has to happen intermittently throughout the year. They could, all those 3 rate cuts could be, you know, the end, like the last 4 or 5 months of the year. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to all be all be there. So I don't know. March just seems like it's way too soon. I still think we need to simmer a little bit before we get to a place where we start cutting. But yeah, let me Peace Ash, thank you for all the super chats today, my guy. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a little bit today, and I'll stick around for another couple minutes to see if anybody has questions. But otherwise the next thing I'm doing is going to bed, dude. I was falling asleep watching Reacher downstairs. You guys watch Reacher? That shit's fucking crazy. I just got to one of the episodes. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched it, but god damn, that show is absolutely insane. Absolutely loving it. Rate cuts are priced in. I would agree to an extent. I think that really for rate cuts to be priced in fully, we need to be at all-time highs. And to me, all-time highs isn't the 480 or 4,800 on the SPY. For me, all-time highs is like 510 on the SPY, 5,100 on the S&P, 5,150 on the S&P because of inflation. You have to think like the value of the dollar has gone down a little bit since we peaked out in the late 2021 timeframe. So that being said, true rate top is probably the SPY 5,000, and I believe we're going to be in the 5K club for sure. Is that a poster of the Da Vinci painting? I think so. Yeah, it's just what is it? It's a Banksy. Both of those are a Banksy. They're from the old apartment. So not real Banksies, by the way. I mean, they're like canvases of the prints. And yeah, they're both Banksy, but the one is a Da Vinci, and then I forget what the other one is. Let me think. Gotta run. Don't think till 2Q. Any thoughts on their launch? I'll be streaming it if it shows up tomorrow as expected. I will be streaming directly after Cashflow Chronicles. So I'll put Chris to bed. Just kidding. That's when he starts his workday. But yeah, if when Rocket Lab kind of starts up tomorrow, fingers crossed it launches, because it was supposed to actually be last night for me, and unfortunately, they delayed it due to a weather window. So I think they had a good dry or wet rehearsal or whatever it's called when they fill up the tanks and make sure everything's all good, no leaks, no nothing. And I think they were just saying that the weather was a little bit too much over there in New Zealand. So yeah, I don't know if it's a Michelangelo. You guys know I'm not good with math, but yeah, I think it is. This is on top of the big one is on top of the Sistine Chapel, I think, and so it's a Banksy version of that. What about home builders? I have seen Toll Brothers and things like that do really, really well. I know Buffett earlier in the year was buying home builders. So we will see. Will be me and Vince. I don't know. I got to poke him to see if he's interested. He likes to do the Rocket Lab stuff on his channel. But it's been a while since I've done it on my channel. I've done plenty, going back over the year or so. Yeah, I think I did one in 2022. I did a few in early 2023. So we'll see. We'll see if he's up. It's also going to be like 4 or 5 a.m. for him, because it's going to be 5 p.m. New Zealand time. And so I think it'd be like 4 or 5 a.m. on him, and he's got the family, so who knows what time he'll be up. So I work in oil and gas, correct? Can I ask you what engineering you do? Curious, mechanical engineering student. So I'm a petroleum engineer by background and education. And so I technically, my role is a reservoir engineer. So that's really what I do. And so basically, in simplest terms, and I won't say who I work for, you guys could look it up. I'm not hiding it, but just try to separate the channel and my employer just for simplicity's sake. I look for and work with geologists, geophysicists, and many other folks to find appropriate projects to develop. And my current focus is the Deepwater Gulf of Mexico, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do you own Vici? I don't own Vici, but I actually think it's a pretty good one. And I know it's been, I don't know what it is today. In the past, it's been a pretty good valuation to a point where I've actually thought about it, but it's getting to the point now where, except for like the personal, the public portfolio, I mean, that I have with Hot Chris, I shrink it down, like I like Stag. I've held Stag since 2014, but I might shrink that one and just put it into the SPY, like I keep shrinking down my portfolio because for me, I want to focus on the things that I really want to focus on, which is like Rocket Lab, Dutch Bros, Palantir, and those are the ones that I really want to focus on. And so when you have that opportunity, I feel like you kind of have to put your focus into where you think you can the most. And so as much as I would like a Vici and add it, for like pride of ownership, at the same time, it's like, I don't know much about it other than probably what's on their website. So to me, I'd rather put my focus on something that might move the dial a little bit more. How much of your income do you put into the market? It really varies by year. Like when I was living in Trinidad, fortunately, the company was paying for a lot of stuff. So during the pandemic, like I went and I just bought some like peanut butter and some white bread and some ramen when I was living in Trinidad. And fortunately, they were paying for the car, and I had sold everything to move to Trinidad. So, I was telling my sister this earlier, I was probably investing 75%. Because I didn't really have much other than paying for street food and flights back and forth to the US to go visit friends and family and vacations that I was kind of taking to some of the other islands. And then the pandemic hit. So obviously I was pretty strict on just buying groceries and not really going out and doing much. So during that time was probably my best savings time. But easily 30 to 40% of my income, I would say. 80% or more of my my net worth is outside of retirement accounts. And so this house even is way underneath my means. I don't need a big home, so it's kind of like, well, why buy something if you don't necessarily need it? This is going to be a great rental property one day, and by the time I can figure out and get settled in and maybe get good interest rates, I might have enough of a down payment to go buy a bigger forever home that I could kind of move into. So it might depend, but been working this job now for quite some time, off and on, different countries, different regions, different assets, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've been able to fortunately save a lot of money doing so. Fortunately, I will say the best gift that I ever got, though, was my parents did put me through school, which was awesome. I didn't really have to pay for a dime for that, but so that kind of set me a few years ahead of some of my peers. But I still had to come out ahead and actually put together the work when I was actually at school. Right, I saw so many friends and family, even if they were paying for it themselves, they pissed away the potential to get a great education. And so I did not take that lightly. That put many 2 or 3 a.m. nights in the library, and turned out great. I could probably coast from here on out and live a very happy life, as I already do. So Yeah, man, lived in Trinidad. It was a great time. I miss it. Unfortunately, I was supposed to stay another 2 years. I was supposed to stay until 2022. And then unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I got moved back to the US a little bit early. So what percentage approximately do you standard routine DCA into indexes versus company picking? It's gotten a lot different over the years. I used to do pretty much barely any indexing, and it must be mostly company picking. It's hard to say. Anytime I sell a stock now, 50% of it is likely to go into the S&P, and that's like an individual stock. So like when I sold Exxon, 50% of that went to the S&P. When I bought Realty Income, 50% of that went to the S&P. So a lot of times that's generally what happens, but it's hard to say because some months I'll shovel money into individual stocks and then some months. But where I want to get to maybe is more of important. Right now, I want to get closer to a 50-50 spread in SPY, and I think I'm close to that, if not at that. But long term, I'd like it to be 80-20, like 80% indices, 20% in individual positions that I think can truly outpace or maneuver the returns of the S&P 500. So, yeah. So unfortunately, I don't necessarily have a number for you, but Matt is the guy who can afford a Lambo now, but waiting to buy the vintage Ferrari later. I'm a big dude. Even if I slim down, I'm 6 foot, so it would be hard, and maybe a Lamborghini Urus, but Lamborghini, unless I was like 5'8" or something, 5'9", it might be pretty tough, and I would have to drop some good LBs to be able to fit in any sort of Lamborghini or anything like that. So I just mostly stick to like Tahoes. I wouldn't mind a G-Wagon. I could fit in that for sure, and that'll be great. But yeah, that is what it is. Do you think McDonald's new coffee station is an issue long term? Seems like McDonald's may be using the same model. Quite possibly, but I think the thing is we're already at the end of 23. There's one store open. At the end of next year, there's going to be 10 stores open. So by the end of next year, Bros will have close to 900 stores, if not more. And so, I think there's a little bit of time. I'm going to look at it quarter by quarter, year by year. But I think for now, with in line of sight, 10 stores versus 900, I think you have a little bit of time before it truly becomes an honest problem. So I think that people sometimes make mountains out of molehills. The Bros, to me, I think they're already net gap profitable. They're going to get EBITDA positive here. Sorry, not EBITDA positive. Cash flow positive here in the next year. I'm fairly confident of it in 3Q, 4Q next year. And with that, 2025, I think will be their best year yet in terms of cash flow on a positive basis. So I'm very optimistic that in the shorter to medium term, they're going to be perfectly fine. Now, it could very well be that in 10 years' time, the Cosmix is a barn burner, and they completely blow Dutch Bros out of the water. I just am more confident that there's room for many stores personally. And we'll see what ends up happening with Cosmix. It could end up doing very, very well. I've heard probably 80% reviews that are very positive, 20% of reviews that are kind of like, if I would need that, I'm just going to go to McDonald's. I don't, but that's out of one store in Chicago area, right? So we'll see. I'll be more than happy to test it out. If it comes to Houston, I haven't seen any postings for it yet, but apparently the 9 stores are supposed to be in Texas. So we'll see. What famous investors do you look up to? I look up to everybody, man. I don't really pick and choose. I listen to what everyone has to say. And just like just like what Chris and I were talking about, it's personal finance. So you could literally find something in what somebody says and take positive things away from it. And that it doesn't necessarily mean, like, I listen to Robert Kiyosaki. it doesn't necessarily mean that like I think the stock market is trash. And I like what he has to say about certain things. I listen to Dave Ramsey. I don't necessarily think that you shouldn't have a credit card. You know, I think that everyone has something very positive to say that works for them. And listening to those perspectives is hugely important. Because you could take that and be like, you know, you could look at somebody and they're always a teacher because they could teach you something to do or something not to do, you know, and you can learn from everybody's life. And that's part of the best thing about living life and listening to stories is you can learn what's good, what's bad, you know, and you can learn what's applicable for your life and what isn't. So Hawk Garcia, man, he's a high flyer. He is. Wise and very young still. You guys are the wise ones. You guys are the wise ones by looking out for yourselves and looking out to better your portfolios every single day. Petroleum engineer, respect. I am a chemie. Well, chemies and electrical engineers are way smarter than I am. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. I'm just a mixture of like a part chemie, part mechanical engineer, and a geologist. That's pretty much that. Yeah, David, unfortunately, you're a little bit behind. Chris has left the building. He's like Elvis. He is gone. He's eating his drunken noodles right about now, slurping that shit up, getting ready to sleep on the couch. Yeah, man. Hopefully it's good. Been about an hour behind. What does the stock hopefully hold for the next 10 years? I would say for 95% of the people out there, the best thing that they could hold is the S&P 500. And let me just go into a little monologue, if you will. If you guys will give me some rope. I would gladly go on a quick little monologue. And I'm actually going to write a book about this. And I actually talked to Amit about it earlier, and I've talked to several other folks, Chris included, about this. And it has to do with perspectives, right? Personal finance, yada, yada, yada. Same thing I preach every time. But 5 things that, and it hopefully goes back to answer your question, Akechi, or Mr. Griffith, however you'd like me to pronounce or call you. 5 things. What's your objective? What's your time horizon? What's your risk tolerance? How much capital are you going to be adding to the portfolio on a regular basis? And how active or passive do you want to be in your investment thesis? And why is this important? Because you might have all the time in the world and you have an opportunity to make outsized returns by being active in the market, but yet you're being extremely passive. Or you need to make, let's just say, $1 million in the next 10 years to pay for whatever it is, and you buy AT&T. It's just like you have to put things into perspective and set yourself up for success. The same thing with like, you have bonds that are yielding 5% right now, and you have a $10 million portfolio. Let's just say you got a trust fund and you have $10 million, and you hate seeing the color red, meaning negative numbers. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you should probably just go out, find an advisor that'll let you buy treasury bonds and buy a 20-year treasury bond if you're, say, 50 years old, and just buy a crap ton of them. If you really can't handle seeing red, and I don't, I'd say that that's a very, very select case. I don't advise everyone to do that, or I can't advise anyway, but I don't think everyone should do that. But I've literally had people reach out to me and say, I can't handle when I see red. Whenever I see red, I sell. And I get it. Like, it takes a stomach. If you're managing these things on your own, it takes a stomach to be able to get prepared for the fact that you might have to see some red colors in your portfolio. I have 3 right now. I have a negative 20%, I have a negative 8%, and a negative 1% staring me in the face right now on my screen in the public account. And you have to get ready for that. You have to be prepared for that. So I get it. And also, you have to think about your time horizon, right? Like, and what your objective is, right? If you're just trying to make an extra $10,000 a year, you can figure out a way to do that through dividend income investing rather than trying to buy the next Amazon. You really have to figure out where you're coming from, what your approach is, because otherwise you're going to completely destroy yourself. So I think a lot of it has to do with where you are in your age, what other stocks you have in your portfolio, how much you're going to be adding. And the reason why how much you're adding is important is because of the following. Let's just say you're starting at $0, like I did 10 years ago. I started at $0 and you get a paycheck. And let's just say you have $1,000 left over. You invest that $1,000 and you're like, I want to get to $1 million in 10 years. Okay, noble goal. I appreciate you. I hope you do your best, and you're going to do your best. But what's the easiest way to go and double your money from $1,000 in order to get to your $1 million goal? What's the easiest way? What stock? What this? What that? I'll tell you the easiest way for me. Save another 1,000, put it into the portfolio. Because if you think about it this way, if you have $1,000 and you want to get to $1 million, you're going to have to not 1x your money, not 10x your money, not 100x your money. You're going to have to 1,000x your money to go from 1,000 to $1 million if you don't add another dime. And I always think this is funny because, like, when I talk about stuff like this, it's like, oh, you're not going to tell me the stock funny, man. Like, the viewership goes down, which I think is pretty funny. It also could be because it's getting later. But I always think this is like, people don't want to hear the truth. People want to hear like, oh, you got to buy Rocket Lab. It's going to go to the moon and you're going to make 100,000%. But it's not the reality of things. But the easiest way to go from 1,000 to $1 million or have the amount of work that you need to do is add another $1,000 to the portfolio. Because instead of having to now 1,000 extra portfolio, you have to 500 extra portfolio. You've literally have the amount of work. And what's the easiest way then? Add another 1,000. Now you don't have to 500x your portfolio. You have to 330x your portfolio to get to $1 million. And then if you add another 1,000, you only have to 250x. And then it gets more about the point of just being diligent over time to invest rather than specifically finding the right stock. And I think that that's more of it because there's so many people I know that as soon as they see Google drop 10% of their portfolio, they sell it. And next thing you know, like I know people that were selling Google at $80 and now it's back up to $130, $140. And I'm like, well, what? Why'd you, now it's up 50, 60% in the year. Like, why did you do that? Was Google going bankrupt? So I think it's pretty interesting how certain people structure their portfolios, but you also have to think, I mean, sometimes the stock market just isn't for people, right? I mean, if you're a handyman, you're a guy that works on construction or you're a plumber. I know a plumber, buddy of mine, all he does is real estate investing. He buys places, fixes the plumbing a little bit, soups up the electric a little bit in the house, switches out the HVAC, all that stuff, does a little paint, and that's his retirement. That's his portfolio. He's got like 5 or 6 of them, and he's doing really, really well. Me, I'm lazy. I buy turnkey properties when I can. Properties that are already cash flowing. Like the property that we bought was already an Airbnb. The guy just wanted to move to Florida, so we bought it from him, and luckily we got a good price, and it's turned out really well for us. But I didn't have to go paint anything, and I didn't have to go do this or that or flip it or anything like that to be able to get it ready for the Airbnb. It's just kind of there. And I was like, if it's more hands off or if it's thinking or, making phone calls, I can do that. But if it's actually like plunging toilets, like I'm not your guy. So hopefully that helps when it comes to this specific question, like what stock should you hold next comfortably for the next 10 years? I think most people aren't going to do the due diligence of holding a stock for 10 years. So look in, they'll get it 20% up. They'll sell it. They'll look for the next thing that they can make 20% on. In reality, the thing that I think most people should just put their money into is the S&P 500. It's tried, it's true, it's always constantly changing. They're kicking companies out, they're adding companies in. So that's where I'd personally be. Matt, have you had previously held? Sorry, crap, can't speak tonight. Previously held any interest in holding defense companies? If so, Raytheon might be worth looking at. I used to hold Lockheed. My buddy Cole told me about that one when it was below 400. and I sold it when I got to like 450 or something like that. He's going to tell me the exact numbers. I'm going to look like an idiot. I'm probably messing them up, but I made my money on that one, and I think that was late 2021, early 2021, late 2021. It was when crypto was still big, and I think I went to go buy something in crypto and made absurd amounts of money. And then after that, crypto went to zero, basically, but not really. You guys get what I'm saying. Selling cash secured puts on CleanSpark. Interesting. Technically, yes. Palantir to me is a defense company. Hold Palantir if you had to choose one. Interesting. But that's the thing, though. Like when it comes to what are you going to hold for the next 10 years? What's the goal? Is it to guarantee that you're going to make money? Or is it to make as much money potential as possible, even if there's a little bit of risk involved? So you get to see, if you want to guarantee you're going to make money, guaranteed, I'd say the S&P 500. If you want to add a little bit of risk, but you think that there's the potential to do X, I'd say Palantir is better. But if you think that, where I think the best company to buy right now, personally, and take on a little bit of risk and hopefully get that return that you're expecting, I would say Rocket Lab is very easy to potentially see that. I think that within a year or two, you're going to be like, oh, Rocket Lab's making money and cash flowing. Oh, well, how did I not know about this? Well, we talked about it, but it's not in a place like Palantir is right now. But Palantir is also already a $40 billion company. So it's hard because I could see Palantir easily getting to 160 to 180, $200 billion. But that's a 4x, 5x from here. That's not a 20x versus a Rocket Lab. I could see that going to from 2 billion today, 2.5 billion today to 50 billion. And then that would be a 20x on your money. So, but one has a lot more risk associated with it, right? Palantir obviously is cash flowing right now. It's churning off a lot of cash versus Rocket Lab. It's currently burning cash. Hopefully it'll get to the point where it's sustainable in the next year or so. Structural engineer used to work at Katy, Texas. I live a little bit east of Katy personally, but know plenty of people that live there. Do you own Microsoft? I own it through the SPY, but other than that, no. We got some giggles over here. Does it snow where you are in Texas? It hasn't really for me much. I've seen maybe some flurries, but never really snow personally. Deposit, drugs, penny stocks the way to go. What does it say? Make up a trade and see how many people copy it. Oh, I should. It's like, guys, this just came across my desk. It is a beautiful clothing company that has just been created out of somebody's garage, and they're waiting imminent approval for the next future technology in lift capability within shoes, sneakers more specifically. The company is called Skechers, and they're going to moon like nobody's business has ever mooned before. Yeah, 0 DTE, SPY options, and quit your day job at Wendy's. I agree. Getting excited is the only way to react rationally on big red day is core names that you have conviction in, and add more if that's the thing. But the thing is, though, is sometimes people will see big red and be like, oh, they said to add more. It's like, well, it doesn't mean it was a good company to invest in the first place. Sometimes these red days are a blessing, right? Because it shows like, well, maybe this company is dog shit, and allows you to give you a pause of look at opportunity to see, well, maybe I should get rid of it. But sometimes people are so dense and so convicted, and they haven't done their true due diligence, that they unfortunately continue to hold those things. What's my favorite cracker? Saltines, Triscuits. I like the club crackers, But I feel like the club crackers, you need a little bit of cheese, you need a little bit of pepperoni or something like that. Maybe some mustard on top, you know? I don't know. Good points rather on SpaceX if they go public. I don't know. That's the thing. You got to think. Does SpaceX actually really care about profit? And that goes back to like also the same thing. It's just like, well, if you could own a percentage of a company that's going to Mars, what's that worth? Especially if it's not making profit. But at the same time, it's going to Mars. So would people value it appropriately? Give it a good value? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. Guapacia. The cash secured put king. Beards helping fight inflation. I concur. What stocks? We talked about a lot of different stocks tonight. We talked about everything. Man, everything was on the table tonight. Everything was on the table. Everything mooned. Yeah, everything mooned. Pfizer, though, I need to look at Pfizer and give it a deeper look. I don't know why it's dropped down into the 20s. The Skechers moon boots, AI shoes. I agree. I love that. The freshest Air Maxes, the Scarabs. Thoughts on Celsius, Elf sometime. We did a whole episode on Celsius a month or so ago. I think it's worthwhile. And since then, it's dropped down. Now it's back to $52. I've actually thought about buying leaps on it. But I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I honestly think that it's ripe. The international sales are ripe for the taking. Swagger down, Pat, call my shit, Patricia. You guys are out of control. So am I in SKX already? Drop to the 20-day is first place to buy. I don't know what SKX is. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the thing, is it's like, sometimes you have to think like, oh, Skechers. See? You guys called me in my own goddamn lie. You got me. You got me. Actually, Skechers been mooning. The joke's on me, guys. Had I bought Skechers in 2000, I'd be up 45x. The joke is on your boy. The joke is on your boy. SpaceX kind of needs the money in the long term, but you can find it with other businesses. But that's the thing. Elon can't just blanketly give money to SpaceX unless he owns the majority of SpaceX, which I don't know. But if he didn't, he can't just write a blank check without getting more shares or writing loans or something of the like. And if that's the case, is that kind of conflict of interest unless they truly needed it, right? Like if they were willing to be bailed out because Elon has money and SpaceX no longer does, and they're like, we'll give you 20% ownership of the company to just keep us afloat. That's a different story. But I think SpaceX is in a place now where Starlink generates enough capital, or it'd be very hard for them to just like blanketly provide. Let's just see what happened to TMF. You mean in a bad way or just in general? Like why is TMF up so much today? Is that what the thought process is? Is that what the question is? Because if that's the question, why is TMF up? It's because basically Powell said they're going to do 3 rate cuts next year. So that's pretty much the reason why. Skechers, the dad grilling shoe. I love that. Google owning 5% of SpaceX marginally adds to Google, but bull case. Yeah, why is it up? It's because they basically said there's going to be 3 rate cuts next year. So Chris and I were kind of wrong in that respect. I still anticipate there's going to be a retracement because 3 rate cuts doesn't mean March, May, and June, right? So But anyway, I appreciate everybody staying on for an extra half hour. Me and Chris have a lot to talk about tomorrow. Things that we're buying. Yes, please like, subscribe. Also, be sure to subscribe. That's the word I'm looking for, because I'm trying to get this to 13,000 folks, and you guys are vital in that. Tomorrow, what I've been instructed to buy is BPYPM, the Brookfield preferred shares. And then also the mid cap ETF IWR. So we'll buy half a share of that and maybe one or two more shares of BPYPM. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to sell in the portfolio personally. A lot of things that Hot Chris has bought, I've been a little bit less about deploying capital. I bought some Orsted. That's pretty small. NEXT was me and Chris, but I was the one that wanted to start kind of buying into that. I guess I have Rocket Lab, TQQQ. Those have all done relatively well. I'm curious to see where oil goes from the next couple of weeks. We'll see. What's oil at today? I didn't check with all this news. I'm curious if it rallied a little bit. Still below $70 here in the US. It's below 75 in Brent. So a little tough in that respect in terms of being able to continue doing well with that. But let's just say, am I going to stream more after Cashflow Chronicles gets its own channel? It depends. Like, the thing is with Cashflow Chronicles, that's going to be 50-50 me and Chris. So any live streaming I might continue to do on Matt Money, but Cashflow Chronicles is obviously going to take a breath of its own. And Chris and I are going to try to ramp up the amount that we're doing as well. So I really hope you guys continue to join us and continue to grow the community over there, because I have visions for doing more and more with it. And we're up to about, this is still my channel, right? So I have been adding all the money that I'm making. But I still do, Palantir videos or Rock Lab videos every once in a while. And I also have some historical content that gets some evergreen sort of views or constant views, retention from literally 5-6 years ago on this channel. And I just add that money into the public portfolio. So the hope is to clear things up a little bit, get a more clarity on that. But we'll see. We will see. I think it'll be nice to be able to do this full time. That's the thing, is it's hard to be able to juggle a full-time role and stream as much as you'd want. But eventually, it'd be nice to be able to have two separate channels to which I can stream on. But I won't be streaming solely on the Cashflow Chronicles channel. I'll still be streaming on Matt Money, but obviously Chris will be adding to that. But that's a ways away, right? Like, I have to make sure that you give you guys the new channels to subscribe to, and we have to get it over a certain amount of watch hours and stuff like that before we can truly apply for monetization. So we'll have to get there over time. But really excited that you guys allow us to even search for this opportunity, and we would love to continue to invest back into it over time. Because it's a lot of fun. It is honestly a lot of fun. It feels natural to kind of hang out with you guys, answer questions where appropriate, and I would love to do it more frequently. And that's the thing, is I still do this while juggling a full-time role, and I would love to be able to, focus on, if it got to that point, focus specifically on this. But I love my career too. So I can't just walk away from that unless it's appropriate, because I do enjoy making oil and gas and providing energy for people. I mean, it's what I went to school for. It's what I'm good at the end of the day. So you guys rock. And please, if you guys haven't already, subscribed, and always think about becoming a member of the Money Gang if you have not already. I know that Austin is, so appreciate that, Austin. You've already almost been a member now for 3 months. So much appreciated with that. And hopefully we continue to move over onto the new channel. And with that, we are on our quest to get to 100,000 in the public account. Hopefully sooner than 10 years, but we will see. The hope is to get that public account up as soon as possible and do more giveaways and stuff like that. You know, like there's literally, the sky is literally the limit with respect to what we can do on the public account. Give away part of the dividends, you know, whatever we want. So you guys rock. I'm gonna call it there, and Chris and I will be on tomorrow as well. I forget what exactly he said, but we have to talk about uranium. We talk about commercial real estate and stuff like that. That's what we talked about. But I got to make sure that before I go to bed, I get these orders in for purchase tomorrow. We got $117 in the public account to put to work. So you guys rock. I'll talk to you guys soon. And yeah.